Hey guys, welcome back to doing DIY with me. I am so excited that you guys are joining me today. As you can see in my second camera, I actually have a video, I should say not a video, I actually have a finished product here, and I'm going to show you how to make this heart wreath. Now, you can get the wreath frames at the Dollar Tree, but you can also get them through Amazon. So I'm going to link the heart wreath that I'm using today at Amazon. This particular yarn, it's going to be hard to find. I ended up having to buy it on the Etsy, but Amazon does have similar yarn that I'm going to link as well. And I'm going to show you a different way, a technique. I just cut the ends off, and this is because I know this is going to go on my door, the log cabin. But I'm going to show you a technique that you can also use as well. And I have a piece of string on this hanging. I don't know where that string came from, but it's there. Okay, so what you're going to need for this project is you're going to need scissors. You're going to need a ruler. You're going to need some bulky yarn, some chunky yarn. Now, you need the chunky yarn because you see how big the yarn is. You're going to need that because it takes up less yarn to do it, and it'll take less time for you to do it. And if you notice, I have a fly right here behind me on my head. You're also going to need a wreath frame. And the second technique that we're going to do today is a pet hairbrush, one that has little bristles, because you're going to see what we're going to do with the end and how we're going to do the ends first. Okay, so let's get crafting. So as you can see, what I went ahead and did is here's my yarn, but knowing that I was going to need about 30 pieces or so, because I tried it with this one and I counted how many pieces I would have, I decided to go ahead and pre-cut 30 pieces of yarn. So that is, and they're about, depending on the size of your wreath, you're going to cut them about a foot, anywhere from 12 to 16 inches. I cut, for this particular one, I cut 16 inches and found out it was way too long, and I ended up using a lot more yarn than I wanted to. Also have a handy dandy little trash bag, plastic bag, because see, that's all that's left over from my yarn. And I'm actually going to keep this because leftover yarn is great if you run out of fiber fill, and you can just, if you're stuffing something, which we'll stuff something with it later on today, it's great to have, and you can just use it for stuffing instead of going out and buying fiber fill. Anytime you have yarn or any type of fabric, just scraps, keep them because you're going to use them. So once I've cut all these and I've used my scissors, I'm going to set it aside. Now we have the heart wreath. You want to make sure that your yarn is close to you because you don't know. Like I said, I just guessed it that I was going to need about 30 pieces, but sometimes you need a little bit more. Sometimes when you get around to the tip of the heart here, you're going to need a little extra to do it. So I'm going to set that aside, and I'm going to move my thing over a little bit so that I can actually work a little bit, and I'm just going to set these all aside. Now, hold on just a second. I thought I had the angle right, but I don't have the angle. Here we go. Okay, so doesn't matter the starting point wherever you start your yarn at. What you're going to do is you're going to fold your yarn in half like this. And this was a trial and error for me because I really like the way the yarn looks a certain way. And I'm actually going to get it right on the first try. And all you're going to do is loop it and pull it through. Because see, if you did it this way, it comes out totally different. The yarn comes up on top. See how it looks? I like the way it looks this way. So now I'm confused about how I did it. This way. You're going to loop it and pull it through. You're going to half the yarn, loop it and pull it through. And you're just pulling it through. And you can just continue this motion. Now, I know you're probably thinking, wow, you've already made one. What are you going to do with the other one? Well, I have a daughter who lives in California, and she loves to put wreaths on her door. And so this will probably end up going to her. And I'll probably make it so that it's more of a cat-themed one. Maybe put little pieces of cats or something on it for my little my sweet little cat fur babies, grandbabies. See, I told you, you're going to get confused of how to do it. And so I'll probably put it like that and just continue on. See, she pulled it tight and pull it through. And you see how you're just making this wreath. It's a very cool, shabby chic wreath that requires a little bit of time. Nope, wrong way. But this particular one, I'm going to do a different type of detail for it when it's done. So you're going to continue on. When I get down to the bottom part right here, I'm actually going to go and do the other side before I do the bottom part, only because I want to do something different with the bottom, and I know the bottom part's going to probably cut. I'll probably have to have a little bit longer yarn. I can't talk today. Longer yarn to actually work with it. So I'm just going to continue on this side. Now, Valentine's Day, it's so many cool things that we can make. And what you see, I've inundated you with a lot of cool crafts for Valentine's Day. This one is probably one of my favorites. It's one of the ones I was looking forward most to doing. And I think it's really cool the way that one came out. It's more of a shabby chic, and it doesn't require a lot of effort. That's one of the things I look for in these crafts that we do, is I look for a way that the ordinary, average, everyday person who has very little crafty, what's the word I'm looking for? The person that doesn't feel like they can do a craft because they see all the crafts on the DIY shows like Home and Garden TV and things like that, and think, I cannot do this. I don't have a craft bone in my body. Whereas if you do this, you can look at your wreath and say, I 100% have a craft bone in my body. I actually like this wreath. Is a little bit smaller than the one that I got at the Dollar Tree, but I actually like it. I've also seen, and I'm hoping that I'll be able to do this one soon, is using one of these hearts and creating paw print. So anytime you find any wreath forms, especially at the Dollar Tree, I would 100% buy them, because or if you find them on sale anywhere, buy them, because I will guarantee in the long run you're going to end up using them. And it's great when you want to create a wreath and you really like, I don't have a lot of time. This will be great. Like if you know someone is having a baby boy or a baby girl, you could actually create one of these wreaths for them and have it for their nursery or for their door, or to welcome the new one. See, that one's a little bit longer, so I'm going to actually pull this one out because I think I'm going to end up having to use it at the end. So, because there was a couple of pieces when I cut, I was just like, I'm just going to cut, and then I realized I was cutting way too big of a piece. Most of these are pretty much the same size. That's a little bit longer, but that's okay, because in the end, we'll end up cutting them all down. We're almost down to the very last part of the wreath. I think this is a longer piece too. It's a little bit longer. And I've got, I said I cut about 30. I have about this much left. So I'll probably end up having to cut some more pieces. Okay, so we're down here to the end. So I'm just going to flip it over. I have one side done. And that took us, 10 minutes to do? And then I'm just going to work. I'm going to leave the middle part open right now because that's going to require a little bit longer because of the way it dips. But I'm just going to work from that point over. Whoops, this was not half. It's important when you're doing this to make sure they're half so that both sides come out equal when you loop them, or close to as equal as possible. And you're just going to loop. Like I said, this yarn, I actually went to Hobby Lobby because the tutorial I saw for this yarn, I love this yarn. But I went to Hobby Lobby to try to find it. Even the people at Hobby Lobby did not know, had never seen that yarn before. And I know the person who did it got the yarn from a Hobby Lobby. So I Googled it. and ended up buying it off of Etsy for way too much money. But I did find similar yarn, not the braided type, because this one's a really cool braided type, which is the effect that I want to do on at the end. I'll show you. The braided type, whereas the other one's more of a chunky, but I did find some on Amazon that would work for this. You just kind of want the chunky yarn. It doesn't matter what kind of yarn. I just like the look of this because I like the boho chic of everything. But you can, any type of chunky yarn that you have would work. Because like I said, if you used a regular yarn, you could use regular yarn if you wanted to. But regular yarn will not, you will be here all day doing this. Whereas the chunky yarn allows you to get a little bit, you see how much space there is right here to do this with. So you're just going to continue with the yarn reef and continue. Now I see that I'm running out of yarn. So I'm going to cut maybe 10 more pieces. That's why I said always keep your yarn with you. And I'm going to cut about 10 more pieces and see how much that goes. Just kind of eyeball. I did 12 inches. 2, 3, 4. Now, the reason why I started off with 30 was because I thought 30 was a good number. There was no rhyme or reason around it. I didn't want to cut any extra that I needed if I didn't need it, because I wanted to save my yarn. So this is, what's it? 1, 2, 3. This is 6. So I have 4 more to do. This was a huge thing of yarn, and I was able to do 2 reefs with it. And I'm down to the last 2 pieces. And I'm not going to roll this up yet, but once you get down to something like this, roll it. But I don't know if I'm done with it yet, so I'm not going to roll the rest of it up yet. So I'm going to bring these back over here. And I had that one big piece down there already that I know I'm going to use. And I'm just going to loop. Continue looping and hoping and praying that my 10 pieces are what I needed. That is wrong. I get so confused when I do this because I'm like, why is it not coming? I literally one day sat there, and I know I had like a brain fart, and sat there one day and was like, why is it taking so long? Why can't I figure out how things are going? And it was because my brain just did not want to work. So you continue on your looping. Now the technique I'm going to try for this one, actually, believe it or not, I've never done before. So I'm doing it with you. That's one of the things that I'm priding myself on when doing these shows, is I'm creating a craft with you instead of showing you. Well, this one I actually did before because I was so tickled that I got the yarn. I wanted to see how easy it was to make. I was worried that it was going to take longer to do it, and I wasn't going to be able to do it in a show, because right now it's 15 minutes, right, the 15-minute mark, and we're almost done with our reef. And for those that didn't think that 10 pieces would be enough, I still have several more pieces here. And let's see, there's going to be, whoops, I need to go back and re-pull this one. Okay, so you remember the one I just told you that was a little bit long, and I wanted to keep it for down here in the corner. So that's what I'm going to do, is I'm going to come and I'm going to go, oh, I picked up a red pom-pom from yesterday's craft. I'm going to go and I'm going to put this down here in the corner. That's going to be your hardest part of this whole reef, is getting it in that corner. But I just did it. Now you're going to go back and you're going to fill up the pieces on the side. Those are a little bit trickier to get in because of the curvature of the heart, of the way it goes down into a point. I think one more piece down here on the bottom. I'm getting harder and harder to pull these through. I think one more piece right here, and then I'll go up and do the peak of the heart. That's going to be your hardest part. It's right here. I'm trying to get it pulled tight enough that it'll stay. Now I just have this little peak up here to do. And I actually have 2 pieces of yarn left, and I don't know if that's going to be enough, but we shall see. Go ahead and separate it out some so you can look and see what you're doing. There's 1 piece. We got 1 piece down, and there's another piece. I may end up having to cut 1 more piece. We shall see. And here's the other piece. Yep, I think 1 more piece will do it because of that little where that is right now. Unless you guys decide that you want to. I'm going to cut this one a little bit longer because it's a little bit. Unless you guys decide that you don't want to use your yarn for that and add something, but I have extra, so I'm going to just add the yarn there. And I made it a little bit longer so that it will cover. Okay, so now this piece is going to be hard to pull through. Okay, so now we have it. Everything's done. Now what you're going to do is you can go and you can do like this and go ahead and just unbraid the heart. Just, it has a lot of little extra things here. So you're just going to come and unbraid it. Or you can go like this and take, so that it gives you a little bit of this to it. Now this yarn is definitely not working like I thought it would with this thing. So I may just leave it like that. I wanted it to kind of look more like shabby chic, but I think we need like a crochet yarn because the only thing that's taking up is it's just pulling out more of the yarn. But here you go. You have a finished heart, that wreath that you can put on your door, and people will actually like about it. And I'm actually going to go and take this and go put it on my door as well in the blog cabin. Now that kind of froze up a little bit. So I really hope you got all of it. But what I'm going to show you is, see if the extra camera is not coming back on. So I am going to try. Okay, so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to move this down a little bit because it seems like my webcam does not want to work. And I'm just going to show you, this is how much yarn I have left. And it's ridiculous just to keep it like that. So what you're going to do is you're just going to take it and you're just going to make a ball out of it. Start wrapping it and then just wrapping it so that you have it as a ball and it continues on in your, and you can put it in your block, in your stuff. And if you want, if you have like a piece of paper or something over it, you can take it and put a piece of paper around it, a strip of paper, and then write what kind of yarn it is and what color it is, so if you know you're looking for a project. But my tip of the day is, when you are working with anything that has yarn in it, take your yarn, and if you're going to pull off the stuff, yarn, fabric, anything, take that and take it and put it in a plastic bag and keep it with your craft supplies, so that if you're looking for something that has to do with filling something up, like fiber fill, because fiber fill is very expensive, use this instead. And I'm actually going to do a craft later on with this particular thing as well. So until next time, guys, bye.